I tried a professional spec drift car in Assetto Corsa, which has 1000 brake horsepower, versus a drift beater that has 319 brake horsepower. Let's see how these two drift cars compare to each other on the track Ebisu Nishi. Boys, we are back in Assetto Corsa and we are in a BMW E36 325i that is running 319 brake horsepower, and it is part of the Fiumi car pack. This thing looks absolutely mint and drifts very well. The steering on it already seems pretty good, and there is a decent amount of horsepower in this little car. I'm not a big fan of this color though. The brown color on this car definitely doesn't look that good, and I'm not sure about that 69 sticker. Maybe that gives me an extra 69 brake horsepower. As we all know, stickers equals more horsepower. But the roof rack on this thing looks pretty cool. However, we're not here to focus on the looks of this car. We're all about testing how good a 300 beater is. Now, this is a 32AI and it's an E36 and it's running 320 wheel horsepower. I kind of wanted to change from the roof rack car, as the roof rack was kind of weird on a drift car to me, and I thought, why not try out some of these other Fiumi cars, as they are really cool and part of a really unique car pack. Now, if anyone hasn't used the Fiumi car pack, this is actually my first time using it as well, and I can tell you that these cars handle really well. They all kind of run about the 300 to 400 brake horsepower mark in this car pack, and I'm not gonna lie, I really do love beaters and slower drift cars, so going into something later on that is a bit faster, and it's definitely a lot faster than these cars, it's going to be new to me, as I don't really drift pro spec cars, and I only generally drift around in your typical street or beater cars because they're just more appealing to me. I haven't really gone down that route of pro spec cars yet. However, I am very excited to try out some of the pro spec cars, and I do watch quite a bit of Formula Drift here and there, and it's going to be quite exciting to try out some of these pro cars. Now, I will actually be using the VDC car pack, and I'm very excited for it. I will also be using another car later on in this video that is an actual professional drifter's car, so I'll leave that one for you guys to find out later on in this video. But I am indeed enjoying this BMW. Now, drifting in third person used to be something I absolutely love, but nowadays drifting in first person is so much more real, and it just feels super sick in Assetto Corsa, especially once you get your neck effects sorted and everything looks smooth. Like, this is absolutely awesome to drift around in. Now, if I had a VR headset, that would complete this. I would love to try Assetto Corsa in VR, so if anyone has a VR, let me know what it's like in the comments below. For anybody wondering, I am actually on Nishi short-long. This is a short part of the track that is kind of sectioned out and you've got cones in the way. On the map selection, you can kind of choose what layout you want to do, and I chose short-long. For this, I probably should have chosen something slightly bigger for the pro spec drift car, but I also need to make it a little bit fair for this car to be able to get around. I do actually really like this section here where you come down this little hill and then you come into this section here, which is a very long drift, although I'm going to try and cut round this corner here and then bring it back as if we do like some sort of little alley-oop that we've got going on here. And then I'm going to come back around with the way we just drift, so we're doing like a donut. It's just completely nothing to do with the track, but I wanted to do it. I want to do it again, but this time if we cut through the middle section and go past the cones. I'm not sure if these cones are actually clippable or what, but no, we're good. We can go around them. We don't have to worry about clipping them or hitting some sort of invisible barrier, which is always a bonus. And then we're going to head back to the start. I think it's only fair we take one more drift in this car, and then we head over to the VDC Pro Spec car, and we really see what it is like to drift around this track in a Pro Spec car. But for one last time, we're going to send this little BMW around this loop here and see if it can handle this final little section. It's holding up really well, to be fair. It's been a great little car to drive. I'm really excited to try out this Nissan GTR. This is part of the VDC Drift Pack, and this thing looks absolutely mental. If I remember correctly, I actually downloaded a skin pack for this as well. This is why I've got this cool livery on this car, and I've always wanted to drift a Nissan GTR, as this one has been converted to a rear-wheel drive car, and it's absolutely insane. I do need to get used to it a bit because it's got so much power. I can kind of just power through anything. I don't really want to overshoot this first entry corner here in this car because this thing has so much power. I could definitely do that. So that's one thing I've got to watch out for. Hopefully, the more I drift this, the more I'm going to get used to the power of it, and hopefully I'll be able to perform a lot better drifts in this thing. Although I do actually love the look of it. That huge wing on the back of this Nissan GTR is absolutely awesome. Now, this has a lot of horsepower as well. I can't exactly remember how much horsepower this car has, but I know it's over 1000 horsepower, or I believe it's very close to 1000 anyway. The VDC cars are all fairly around that limit, so there is very high power in these, and especially in pro drifting, I believe most cars nowadays are very high power cars. Although I feel like pro drift tracks are probably a lot more smooth, whereas this goes right back on itself and you're not really getting the full speed and power out of this car that you probably should in a pro spec car. However, this car does really handle the track very well and actually makes that section been really fun because I can link it all together into one piece where it's got so much power, unlike the BMW where it didn't quite have enough power and I may straighten up sometimes. Although this car is absolutely insanely powerful and is good looking, I do miss my BMW. That thing handles really nicely and it's probably a lot easier to drift than these, to be fair. These drift quite easy, but it's just very hard to control and really pinpoint the lines that you're trying to take, especially on that first line back there where I started. I went off track slightly. I'm going to jump into first person and give this a couple more tries. Now this thing sounds awesome from the inside. I've noticed Assetto Corsa cars sound a lot better from the inside than they do outside. Outside cars just sound really glitchy and a bit weird at times. Now I did actually mess that last run up and I kind of just straightened up and gave up at that point. So I'm going to try it again and launch off here. And I did actually touch the gravel last time, which weren't great, but this time we seem to be on track. Bit of correction there, but that's absolutely fine. Hopefully we can hold this all the way to the end and then slow down, clutch it in, and then power back onto the back straight here. I probably don't even really need to use the clutch that much in this car. It does have a lot of power that you can kind of just power through things, where in the slower cars you do need to kind of use that clutch when you're slowing down a bit too much, as you don't quite have that power to go straight back into things. That turbo isn't quite there on some cars. Although this has been quite a nice drift, that run. I think it's only fair that we try out Adam Elzey's S15. Now this thing is super awesome. He no longer drives this car as far as I'm aware. He is part of the RTR gang now and drives the Mustang, but this thing looks absolutely awesome. I really like the livery on this car as well. It's definitely one that looks super awesome. I am a bit weirded out by the kind of, I don't know what's going on the back here with the spoiler type things. They look a bit weird. I'm not sure if it's part of the mod. I don't remember seeing this. It does shoot flames, this car, as well, which is pretty cool. I don't believe the GTR actually done that, so that is another bonus about this S15 that the Nissan GTR didn't have. And the BMW definitely could not spit flames like this S15. This thing sounds absolutely mental and it handles really nicely. It doesn't have as much power as the GTR. It has slightly less. I believe it's around the 940 mark, but this thing still rips really hard and it just slides very well. This car has been fully stripped out on the inside. I think it was only fair that we tried out the inside. You can literally hear the turbo and everything in here. It's so loud. You can hear changing gears and it's just a bit weird how loud the audio is. Oh god, we've definitely messed that up. I don't think we're going to be able to save this. No, we've definitely screwed up here. I think it's only fair that we get one final run in first person in Adam Elzey's S15 and really see how badly this thing rips. Now this thing is already taking a fairly cool line. I'm pretty sure the rear's off on the gravel there, which is definitely something that I didn't want to be doing. But now into my favorite section here where you can hold this really long drift and then back to the start with a nice little angle there and then kind of, we don't even need to clutch kick it. This thing holds power easily. I think it's time to get one last little run in here with this. I'm going to try it in third person, although I've taken a very wide line and the back of our car is on the gravel. This is not good. We're going to wheel spin like actual crazy. Now we're on top of the hill. This has just kind of ruined my run here. This is a very slow and sketchy run. Not a great last run that we should have had, really.